Hey guys, welcome back to Forgotten Airsoft, the show where we take a look at the strange, the obscure, and sometimes the downright cursed corners of airsoft history. Today, we're going to be going big, literally, because this episode is all about the absolute monster that is the Asahi M60E1. Now, if you're into airsoft at all, you probably know the M60 has been a popular replica platform for decades. Everyone from Top to A&K to Nakatsu has taken a stab at it. But this is one of the earliest, and definitely one of the weirdest attempts ever made. Asahi, a Japanese company that was basically one of the OGs of airsoft, put out this beast in the late 1980s, and it's got some pretty decent quirks. Now, first off, this is an M60E1, not the regular M60, not the later E3 or the E, but the E1, which was kind of a short-lived US military attempt at improving the pig. They basically just wanted to improve a few handling things, but it didn't last real long in service. But Asahi decided, yep, that's the one that we're going to immortalize in airsoft. And honestly, I can respect that. I mean, imagine being in that boardroom where they're talking about what they should be doing, and then he goes, should we make the classic Vietnam-era M60 everyone recognizes, or the later one that's more famous in movies? Nah, let's do the weird middle shot that nobody remembers. Now, when we go to construction-wise, this thing is very impressive for its era. We're talking metal receiver, real heft, and even, even some legit parts if you're willing to go through the work to replace them. Now, keep in mind, this was the late 80s in Japan. Most people were still running around with springers or very basic gas pistols, and then here comes Asahi with this giant hunk of steel basically saying, here, kids, have fun carrying a 20-pound belt-fed replica around. And yes, it is that heavy. You could skip the gym if you had one of these. Doing curls with the M60E1, you'll have arms like Rambo by the end of summer. So, how does it actually work? Well, this is a classic external air system gun. That means no battery, no gearbox. Instead, you've got an airline running to an external tank, usually HPA, that powers the whole thing. The airline does connect to the grip and stuff, and usually when you pull the trigger, the air cycles the system. I say usually, we'll get to that later. Now, the magazine, this is where it gets funky. The Asahi uses a box magazine that actually feeds through a hose into the receiver. It's not the slick, modern, battery-powered, auto-wind box mag that you'd see today. No, this is pretty old school. It's clunky, it's messy, and if it jams, you're not having a good day. And honestly, trying to keep this thing running in a modern game is like bringing a typewriter to a LAN party. So, performance-wise, how does this actually shoot? It shoots surprisingly well if you had the patience to dial it in. These Asahi guns were known for having pretty decent internals, and it's because it's HPA powered. Consistency was better than a lot of AEGs that came after it, but, well, big asterisk here. You needed to really know your setup. Pressure, BB weight, feeding, seals, everything had to be just right, or it decided to take the day off. And remember, this was the late 80s and early 90s. Nobody was chronoing, nobody cared about jewel creep, and half the guys playing probably didn't even wear proper eye protection. So yeah, if you cranked the regulator, you could basically turn this thing into a war crime in a box. Oh my god, I can't believe I wrote that down. So, kids, don't try this at home unless your home is an abandoned rock quarry and everyone signed waivers. So why don't we see more of these today? Well, there's two big reasons. One, Asahi never mass-produced them in large enough numbers. They were really expensive, niche, and more of a flex piece even when they were new. Two, the external tank setup. Modern players just don't want to deal with lugging around hoses, big tanks, and finicky mags, especially if the gun is 20 pounds. They just want to slap in a battery and go, or run an SSG-1. You're gay. And also, these are collector's items now. If you break one, finding parts is harder than finding an airsoft kill call, like somebody who's gonna call their hit reliably these days. Yeesh. You'll basically be machining stuff yourself or praying to the gods of Yahoo Japan auctions. So, the Asahi is one of those guns that perfectly represents early airsoft, right? It's ambitious, it's weird, it's kind of impractical, but it's completely awesome. Now, it's not the best M60 replica ever made, in Nakatsu, looking at you. But it's definitely one of the most interesting, because it captures that era when companies were just figuring out what airsoft could even be. And hey, at the end of the day, it's still a freaking M60, which means you get to yell Rambo quotes and talking about getting to the chopper while blasting a belt of BBs at your homies. Isn't that what it's all about? Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Forgotten Airsoft. Thanks for hanging out with me and geeking out over this beautiful, bizarre beasts. Next time, we'll be digging into something a little smaller and just as forgotten, so don't miss it. I've been Forgotten Airsoft. This was the Asahi M60E1, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.